Are we live? It looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pop Culture Asylum. I am your host, Gabriel. I hope everyone is having a great day. It's Sunday. You know what that means. And of course, I want to say that because Brodie Lee always said that, like every day, he always send out tweets saying like it's Sunday, you know what that means, or Monday, you know what that means. So I just wanted to say that, and in case it hasn't been an easy 24 hours for the wrestling community, because in case you guys don't know, we lost John Huber at 41 to a lung disease. And even though he passed away, unfortunately, his legacy will never be forgotten. So even though it hasn't been an easy 24 hours for the wrestling community, and especially for John Huber's family, his legacy would never be forgotten. So like again, like he was such an incredible wrestler, such an amazing talent. Like he could have been world champion anywhere in the world. He could have been world champion New Japan, like Ring of Honor, TNA, especially AEW and WWE. He was that good, and he was such an incredible talent. And the today, at least the least that I can do to like celebrate his legacy is to make this video. Today in this video, we're gonna go over some of John Huber's best matches over his career. Of course, I'm gonna go over matches from both WWE and AEW. Of course, he had competed in other matches with other promotions, but I'm not familiar with these matches, but I'm familiar with the matches that I'm going to go over with today. Of course, I'm going to go over the matches, some of the best matches that I have ever seen from him. I'm going to tell you why it was a great match, and after this video, I recommend you guys watch some of these matches in case you haven't seen some of these matches, because Huber's work in these matches are incredible and really goes to show how great of a professional wrestler he is. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get this video underway. Now, this is not going to be like a top 10 list or anything. I'm just going to go over the matches that I personally love from his career, and I'm going to tell you why the match was great. And like I said, after this video is over, I recommend you see some of these matches if you haven't seen them yet. But without further ado, let's go over some of John Huber's best matches and best work in his professional wrestling career. Now, the first match I'm going to go over is from TLC 2014, as Luke Harper defended the Intercontinental Championship against Dolph Ziggler in a ladder match. Now, the pay-per-view wasn't exactly that good per se. Like, it was pretty random. It was pretty random. But you can't deny that the opening of that show, what Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper did on that night was incredible. And I think it's one of the most underrated ladder matches of all time. Not many people talk about it for some reason. It was such a great ladder match. Like, the story was there. Dolph Ziggler played the underdog so well. It was like a David versus Goliath situation. And Luke Harper played the Goliath part so well. Such an incredible ladder match to start off a very, wouldn't want to say bad, but very lackluster pay-per-view, because I wasn't personally a fan of TLC 2014. But I thought it was a awesome ladder match between Dolph Ziggler and Luke Harper. And Dolph Ziggler ended up winning that matchup. But again, such an incredible match between these two, and such an underrated ladder match between these two. What those two did on that night, such a great match. Such a great match. So the next match we're going to go over is, without a doubt, one of the greatest six-man tag team matches in not just in WWE history, but in pro wrestling as a whole. The Shield versus the Wyatt family, Elimination Chamber 2014. Oh my God. If you guys haven't seen this matchup, I don't know, like, you guys must be out of your mind. This was, without a doubt, one of the greatest six-man tag team matches of all time. Like, what those six did on that night was so magical. Like, it was literally chaos since the beginning. And literally, in particular, Luke Harper was literally the MVP of that matchup because looking in the matchup, Luke Harper was technically in the ring for most of the matchup. Of course, Bray Wyatt was also in the match a little bit, and also Eric Rowan as well. But Luke Harper really showed what he can do on that night against Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. And again, like, the story was there of who was the best faction in WWE. It was chaos from the start. It was broken tables. There was a lot of drama. This was a six-man tag team match done right. And if you have not seen this matchup before, go out of your way to do so. This was, without a doubt, one of the best six-man tag team matches of all time, not just in WWE history, but in pro wrestling as a whole. Literally, me talking about it is not doing it any justice. All six of those men, Rollins, Reigns, Ambrose, Wyatt, Rowan, and Harper, all did a great job. And all six of these men had incredible chemistry that night. Such an amazing matchup. If you guys haven't seen this matchup before, go out of your way to do so. Elimination Chamber 2014, The Shield versus the Wyatt family. Without a doubt, one of the greatest six-man tag team matches of all time. And personally, one of my favorite matches of all time. This matchup was entertaining through and through. Again, if you guys haven't seen this matchup, go out of your way to do so. Such an incredible match. Then we get to Extreme Rules 2015. Dean Ambrose versus Luke Harper and in a Chicago street fight. Now, this was a fun match. So, like, the story was that these two men were lunatics and they just wanted to beat the living hell out of each other. And boy, did they deliver. It was such a fun match. It wasn't a typical wrestling match, but it was a street fight. They deliver on the street fight aspect. There was chairs, there was freaking kendo sticks involved, tables. Hell, I shit you not, they literally drove away in the car. They were literally out of the arena for most of the show, and they didn't come back till later on in the show. Which, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen that kind of spot since Roddy Piper versus Goldust. I believe it was like WrestleMania 11, I think. I'm not sure. But literally, that spot reminded me of the Piper Goldust chase scene. And, like, it was so creative, so innovative. And this matchup was so much fun. Ambrose and Harper put up one hell of a show. And, of course, Ambrose gained the W, but my God, what a fun match that was. Really, what a fun match. It was fun, it was creative, and both men did a great job on that night. Such an incredible match. I won't say that it was like a wrestling classic, but if you guys love street fights and if you guys are suckers for hardcore wrestling like I am a major sucker for hardcore wrestling. ECW for life. But if you're a sucker for like hardcore wrestling, I recommend you see this matchup. Extreme Rules 2015, Dean Ambrose versus Luke Harper in a very fun and a very creative matchup. Then we come to a awesome story-driven matchup. From Elimination Chamber 2017, Randy Orton versus Luke Harper. And I feel like this was another match that was very, very underrated. This was a old school, story-driven type matchup. And I loved every second of it. Literally, just earlier today, I watched the match. And I really got to appreciate how well done that matchup. Because, first of all, Elimination Chamber 2017 is such an underrated pay-per-view. That pay-per-view is without a doubt one of my favorites. I love Elimination Chamber 2017. And again, what Randy Orton and Luke Harper did on that night was incredible. Of course, this was happening around the time where Randy Orton was a part of the Wyatt family, and this was back when SmackDown was doing incredible. But Randy Orton just got out the Wyatt family. Luke Harper wanted to make Randy Orton pay, and it was literally just two men beating the living hell out of each other. It was old school as it gets. And there's a lot of old school people, like a lot of people in the wrestling community who likes old school matches, but for some reason does not bring this match up. Like, this matchup is so underrated. Like, what those two did on that night was incredible. It really goes to show that Luke Harper can even handle his own and put up a great performance against legends like Randy Orton. Such an amazing matchup. And if you're a fan of old school wrestling, just go out of your way to watch this matchup. This matchup is so criminally underrated, especially in the wrestling community, which I don't understand why. It boggles my mind that not many people talk about this matchup. Like, I won't say like it was incredible, like an Omega Okada amazing matchup, but it was old school story. It was an old school story driven matchup. And that's what I like. And again, such an incredible matchup between Randy Orton and Luke Harper. It really goes to show that Luke Harper can even handle his own against the best of the best like Randy Orton. If you guys haven't seen this matchup yet, go out of your way to do so, especially if you're an old school fan. Elimination Chamber 2017, Randy Orton versus Luke Harper. Such an incredible match. Then we get to a hidden gem. Luke Harper versus Dominik Dijakovic in WWE's Worlds Collide 2019. Now, to be honest, I haven't seen this matchup before because in 2019 they did this World Collide special on WrestleMania Access, and honestly, I didn't even watch it because I didn't care because it wasn't important. But a lot of people recommended that the wrestling community sees this match, and I definitely saw this matchup before making this video. And my God, I regret not seeing this matchup sooner. Like, it wasn't a very long match, but for what they did for a short amount of time was freaking awesome. It was hard hitting. Both men beat the living hell out of each other, and I love every minute of it. But I can also see why it was a hidden gem, because not many people watch the World Collide specials. I certainly didn't, but I'm honestly glad that I did, because wow, what a match. What a match between Harper and Dijakovic. Just two men beating the hell out of each other, making a name for themselves, and whew, what a match. I loved every second of it. And again, not many people in the wrestling community like this match. A lot of people didn't even know that both of these men wrestle each other, which is understandable. Which is why, after this video, I recommend you guys see this matchup between Dijakovic and Harper. Such an incredible, incredible matchup. Harper ended up getting this W over Dijakovic, but such an incredible match. Such an incredible match between those two. And it really goes to show that even tall, big guys can just do the most incredible of things. And again, I'm not doing any justice. Go watch this matchup. It's a short match, but it gets the job done. And I really love this matchup. If you haven't seen it, which I know most of you people ain't, because that's why it's called Hidden Gem, but go watch it. It's such an incredible match. So after that, we get to our next one. Hell in a Cell 2019 will probably go down as one of the worst. Well, wouldn't want to say one of the worst, but definitely one of the most lackluster pay-per-views of all time, and has without a doubt one of the worst endings in the history of WWE. Such a horrible ending. Not many people love Hell in a Cell 2019. I didn't like it either. It was a poor attempt of WWE trying to give out a good product in a short amount of time, and it definitely backfired. But not all of the matches were bad. As a matter of fact, the two matches that started the show was actually incredible. The two matches I'm talking about is obviously Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks inside Hell in a Cell, and the tag team match between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan and Harper and Rowan. My God, if you guys love chaos, if you like four men beating the living hell out of each other, then this is the matchup for you. Oh my God, what a brutal match. Like, these men, like, wasted no time. Like, they were spearing each other through barricades, like, power bombing each other through tables. Like, these four men did not, like, restrict themselves. Like, they went all out. These four men beat the living hell out of each other, and I loved every second of it. Of course, this was obviously around the time where Daniel Bryan and the Rowan, like, group tag team just broke up, and like Luke Harper, and of course Luke Harper returned, making both Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan's life a living hell. So Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan united. They fought against Harper and Rowan, and this was one hell of a match. One hell of a matchup. Even though Hell in a Cell 2019 will go down as one of the worst pay-per-views in WWE history, I'll give them this. For the first two matches, they did a great job getting us excited, because starting off with these two matches really gave me high hopes for the pay-per-view. Even though it ended up sucking, it really gave me high hopes. And especially the matchup between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, Harper and Rowan. Such a fun match. Such a fun matchup. And even though Hell in a Cell 2019 was shit, I can confidently say that this match was far from shit. This match was great. This match was fun. This match was chaotic from beginning to end. And I am a sucker for hardcore chaotic wrestling. And this matchup definitely put a smile on my face. Such an amazing match. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. If you like chaotic hardcore wrestling like me, well, this match wasn't exactly hardcore, but this was definitely chaotic. And if you guys really want to see this match, if you guys want to see chaotic wrestling done right, watch this matchup. So great. So great. Then we get to another tag team matchup. And another one that is really, really underrated. Money in the Bank 2014. The Usos versus Harper and Rowan for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Woo! My God. If you know, you know. And it really boggles my mind why not many people are talking about this matchup often. What those four did that night was incredible. Those two teams went to war. Like, it wasn't like typical wrestling. Shit got personal in that match. Those two teams fought like what those two teams did on that night. They made those WWE Tag Team Championships prestigious because those two teams went to war. Like Harper and Rowan really wanted to be the tag team champions, and the Usos really wanted to retain the tag team championships. And this is another match that is really, really underrated. Such an incredible matchup between the Usos and Harper and Rowan. And again, not many people talk about this matchup. Like, this matchup was incredible. Such an amazing tag team match. Those two teams, what they did on that night was magical. They went to war. They made those tag team titles legit. And this was back when the Usos, before the whole lockdown, welcome to the Uso penitentiary stuff, the Usos were like face painted. They were like dancing around, stuff like that. But on that night, they did none of that shit. They came into that match with purpose. Like, they were ready to go to war. And Harper and Rowan were ready to do the same. And my God, if you guys haven't seen this matchup, watch it. Watch this matchup. What those four men did on that night was so magical. And they should be proud of themselves on making the tag team championships legit. And unfortunately, we don't see that in the WWE tag team division nowadays. We don't see, because the WWE tag team division, at least, especially for the last couple of years, hasn't been taken seriously, which is a shame. Because because this matchup right here between the Usos and Harper and Rowan, this matchup shows that tag team wrestling can be special. Tag team wrestling can be taken seriously. Tag team wrestling can be legit. And what those four did on that night, they should be proud of themselves, because this matchup really made me love, really, really showed me why tag team wrestling is incredible. And those four men should be proud of themselves for what they did on that night. Such an amazing matchup. Those men took those titles 100% seriously, and they went to war with each other. The fact that not many people are talking about this matchup, it honestly boggles my mind. If you guys haven't seen this matchup, go watch it. And again, I'm sounding like a broken record, but most of these matches were incredible. And Luke Harper was amazing in all of them. So those are all of the WWE matches that I can remember that were incredible. Amazing. Now we're going to go over some of the AEW matches that took in place this year that I thought was his best work. So the first matchup I would like to bring up, Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Brodie Lee in Double or Nothing 2020. Woo! Did I already tell you that I'm a sucker for hardcore wrestling? Because my God, this matchup has a whole bunch of it. And keep in mind, I don't think this matchup was scheduled as a no DQ match. I think this was scheduled as a championship matchup, but those two men went to freaking war. My God, what a match. These two men, like, they were going pound for pound. Hell, they literally went through the stage. They went through the freaking stage. Those what Moxley and Lee were literally trying to kill each other for the AEW World Championship. Literally trying to kill each other. And I loved every minute of it. Such a chaotic championship matchup. Both men did an incredible job. And this matchup really goes to show that Brodie Lee can be a main event player. What both Moxley and Lee did at Double or Nothing was just, it was brutal, it was entertaining, and I loved every minute of it. What an incredible matchup. And it is definitely deserving on this list. Moxley versus Lee for the AEW World Championship, Double or Nothing. Such an incredible matchup. It was Double or Nothing of this year. Again, if you guys are suckers for hardcore wrestling, watch this matchup. Such an amazing match. Then another underrated one, Brodie Lee versus Orange Cassidy for the TNT Championship on the September 23rd edition of AEW Dynamite. Woo! Brodie Lee put Orange Cassidy over big time because, wow. Brodie Lee is one of those wrestlers that can be a main event player, but at the same time make other rising stars look legit. And that's what Brodie Lee did with Orange Cassidy on this night. Because Orange Cassidy, like, after watching this matchup, I had more respect for Orange Cassidy. And of course, the respect is always there for Brodie Lee. And of course, I'm familiar with Brodie Lee, but I'm not that familiar with Orange Cassidy. But this matchup made me a believer in Orange Cassidy because what those two did was incredible. And Brodie Lee did one hell of a job putting Orange Cassidy over. And such an incredible match, such an underrated match. And I think you guys should see this matchup. Orange Cassidy did a great job. Brodie Lee did a great job making Orange Cassidy legit. And I think it was this matchup right here that definitely made Orange Cassidy a star and really made Orange Cassidy like legit. So Brodie Lee should be very proud of himself putting over such a talent like Orange Cassidy. Then we get to this match. Brodie Lee versus Dustin Rhodes for the TNT Championship on the September 9th edition of AEW Dynamite. Woo! My God. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a sucker for hardcore wrestling. And I'm a sucker. And sometimes I love matches where people are like flying and doing flips and stuff like that. But I like seeing old school matches here and there. I'm also a big fan of old school knockout, drag on, like, old school wrestling matches. And my God, this had old school written all over it. These two men put up like one of the best old school type matches in the past 10 years. Like, what those two did on that night was incredible. Like, nothing was botched, nothing was forced, like, no shenanigans happened. It was literally two people who knows what the hell they're doing put up a literal wrestling clinic. And both men are amazing storytellers. Like, both men made each other legit. And there were times where I thought Brodie Lee was going to win this match, but there were also times where I thought Dustin Rhodes was going to win this matchup. That's how good and that's how legit this matchup was. And again, both men should be really proud of themselves. Such an amazing matchup. And if you're a fan of old school wrestling, like old school wrestling, You guys gotta see this matchup between Brodie Lee and Dustin Rhodes on the September 9th edition of AEW. Such an incredible match. Such an incredible, incredible match. And both men should be really proud of themselves. Then we get to our final matchup on the list, which turned out to be his final matchup before his passing. And it was Brodie Lee defending the TNT Championship against Cody Rhodes in a dog collar matchup on the AEW special 30 Years of Jericho on October the 7th, 2020. My God, what a match. This was old school as it gets. It was a literal fight. Both men beat the living hell out of each other. And obviously, this was as personal as it gets. Brodie Lee put Cody Rhodes into the hospital. Brodie Lee's been attacking his family. Cody Rhodes comes back, getting his revenge against Dark Order. And things were just getting personal, which all led up to this dog collar matchup. And both men were bleeding. Both men were beating the living hell out of each other. And my God, I'm a sucker for, did I tell you guys that I'm a sucker for hardcore wrestling? This was hardcore written all over it. Such a brutal matchup. Both men were bleeding. Both men did such a great job. Both men put their bodies on the line just to entertain us. And I loved every second of it. And of course, Cody Rhodes ended up winning this matchup, defeating Brodie Lee. And of course, this was unexpectedly, due to unfortunate circumstances, this ended up being Brodie Lee's final matchup, not just in AEW, but in pro wrestling as a whole. But my God, what a matchup to go out on. Such an incredible matchup. What an amazing final matchup to leave your legacy on. What Cody Rhodes and Brodie Lee did on that night was just special. It was hardcore. It was brutal. The story was there. Both men are incredible storytellers, and such an amazing matchup. Both men should be really proud of themselves. And yeah, such an incredible match. But I'm going to go over the matches that I put on this list one more time. And these are the matches that I recommend you guys should go watch. And the matches are as follows. TLC 2014, Luke Harper versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match. The Shield versus the Wyatt Family, Elimination Chamber 2014. Luke Harper versus Dean Ambrose in a Chicago Street Fight, Extreme Rules 2015. Luke Harper versus Randy Orton, Elimination Chamber 2017. Luke Harper versus Dominic Dijakovic, WWE Worlds Collide. Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan versus Harper and Rowan, Hell in a Cell 2019. The Usos versus Harper and Rowan for the WWE Tag Team Championships and Money in the Bank 2014. Brodie Lee versus Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship, Double or Nothing 2020. Brodie Lee versus Orange Cassidy for the TNT Championship on the September 23rd edition of AEW, on the September 23rd, 2020 edition of AEW Dynamite. Brodie Lee versus Dustin Rhodes for the TNT Championship on the September 9th, 2020 edition of AEW Dynamite. And Cody Rhodes versus Brodie Lee in a dog collar matchup for the TNT Championship on the AEW special 30 Years of Jericho on the October 7th, 2020 episode of AEW Dynamite. These are all great matches, and if you guys haven't seen these matches, I recommend you go watch them. Such incredible matches, and it really goes to show how great of a wrestler and how great of a talent Jon Huber was. And like, again, he had so much going for him. He could have been world champion. He could have been world champion in any promotion. But I'm also very blessed and grateful that he was even able to win championships in the first place. Like, he's a former WWE Intercontinental Champion, former NXT Tag Team Champion, former SmackDown Tag Team Champion, and obviously a former TNT Champion. And again, his legacy will never be forgotten. And my condolences to the friends, family, and loved ones of Brodie Lee, John Huber, aka Brodie Lee, aka Luke Harper. And he will, without a doubt, go down as one of the best professional wrestlers of all time. He was that good. He had such great potential. He was, without a doubt, he was talented in the ring. He was a great storyteller. And it was a shame what happened to him. He could have done so many more things, but I'm very blessed and grateful that he was even able to win championship gold in the first place, and he won up a prestigious title at best. Like, again, he won the Intercontinental Championship and he won the TNT Championship. And those are two very prestigious titles. And again, he's a very great wrestler, great talent, great storyteller. And of course, nothing I can do his legacy justice. But this is the least that I can do. And all I gotta say is, John Huber, may you rest in peace. And thank you for putting your body on the line for us. And thank you for putting on these amazing matches. And thank you, and I read some of the stories on Twitter on him being an incredible man, an incredible person, an incredible father. And he won't just go down as one of the best professional wrestlers ever, but one of the best human beings ever. Your legacy will never be forgotten. You may be gone, but your legacy will never be forgotten, especially in the wrestling community. You touch so many hearts in the wrestling community, especially me, and I will always be a fan of you. I will always be a fan of you. Never once in my life had seen one negative thing about this man, because he was that good. He was legit that good of a wrestler. Such an incredible talent, such an incredible human being, and he'll never be forgotten, man. May rest in peace. Again, my condolences go to the friends, family, loved ones for John Huber. And again, just explaining his legacy would not do him justice, but this is the least that I can do. This is the least that I can do on my end to show my love and appreciation for the career of John Huber. The legacy of Luke Harper, the legacy of Brodie Lee, and the legacy of John Huber will never be forgotten. And again, may he rest in peace. And again, his legacy will never be forgotten. So that's all I got to say on that. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Did I miss any matchups from my list? What do you think, in your opinion, is your favorite, your absolute favorite Luke Harper, Brodie Lee, John Huber matchup? What was your absolute favorite John Huber matchup? Personally, for me, my number one favorite John Huber matchup of all time is the Shield versus the Wyatt family, Elimination Chamber 2014. Like I said, without a doubt, one of the best six-man tag team matches of all time. But that's my opinion. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. There's no right or wrong answers. Please don't be assholes in the comment section. Everyone be nice in the comment section. Obviously, this is an opinion. a judging opinion free zone here on my channel. So whatever you need to say. Tell me what your favorite match is of Jon Huber. And like I said, may he rest in peace. And just explaining his legacy would not do his legacy justice, but again, it's the least that I can do. So I hope everyone has a great rest of the night. May Jon Huber rest in peace. And I hope everyone has a nice rest of the night. And this is Gabriel. I will see you next time in the asylum. Good night, everyone.